Hi everyone, my name's Lauren and this is my mixed-use market analysis for 701 Russell Avenue in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is currently the Lake Forest Mall. I've split up my analysis into 3 different market sectors, including office, residential, and retail. In Gaithersburg, the current office supply is older construction, and new office space would likely be quickly absorbed. For the residential, there's a large amount of multifamily in the surrounding areas, and they also lack a lot of amenities because they are of older construction. The retail sector, there are 2 new mixed-use developments in close proximity to the subject site, and NG and S retail and F&B retail have the highest demand. NG and S retail stands for neighborhood goods and services, and F&B stands for food and beverage, and I'll be using these abbreviations throughout my presentation. This map shows the subject site, which is right here, which is currently improved with Lake Forest Mall. As you can see, there is multifamily all around the subject site, which is generally older construction. There is also retail along North Frederick Avenue, shown here and here, and there is also a little bit of office that is right in this corner. Gaithersburg is in Montgomery County, which is in the DC-Baltimore MSA. The site is also zoned C2, which allows for general commercial uses, including office, retail, and multifamily development. The site is 85 acres, which would be a sufficient size for a mixed-use development. And the site does not appear to lie in a flood zone. And it has good transportation access, even though most of Gaithersburg heavily relies on car transportation. The site is also zoned for Mill High School, which is zoned 4 out of 10 on Zillow. The school performed below the average test scores for Montgomery County and the state of Maryland overall. The crime rate for Gaithersburg, Maryland is 47 out of 100 for violent crimes, including murder and non-negligent manslaughter, forcible rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. The U.S. average crime rate is 41.4 out of 100, which is slightly lower than the rate for Gaithersburg. Currently, there is 4,231,191 square feet of existing office space. The vacancy rate is 11.25%. And there is also 753,459 square feet of proposed office space. Of that, 76.64% is pre-leased. The defense spending also has a major effect on the office market due to its close proximity to D.C. And the 2005 Defense Base Realignment and Closure Commission, which is commonly referred to as BRAC. Because of that, Arlington lost approximately 4.2 million square feet of private space, which was leased for private space that was leased by the Defense Department, and then it moved to Fort Belvoir, Fort Meade, and Redstone Arsenal, which emptied several buildings in Crystal City. Montgomery County had the highest absorption in 2003 with 2.75 million square feet of space which was absorbed, which is the lowest absorption rate. Montgomery County had the highest absorption in 2003 with 2.75 million square feet, and the lowest absorption rate was in 2009 of negative 0.5, and the lowest absorption rate was in 2009 and was negative 0.5 million square feet. The total average absorption in Montgomery County is 5.93 million square feet from 2002 to second quarter of 2014. Negative absorption means that the demand was greater than the supply delivered to the market. The top three industries that experienced growth were leisure, hospitality, education and health services, and construction, natural resources, and mining. Montgomery County had 2.3% growth in employment between 2010 and 2013. The industries that saw the highest growth were local government, leisure, hospitality, and educational and health services. The industry sectors that saw the highest growth were similar for the MSA as well as the county. The average rent is $24.06 full service. Full service means that the landlord pays for all of the expenses associated with the property, such as real estate taxes, insurance, and utilities. So all the tenant would pay would be the rent. Vacancy rate is 11.25%, and the region has a vacancy rate of 33.6%. The region includes Gaithersburg, Germantown, North Rockville, Outline, Montgomery County West, and Rockville. There are 20 proposed properties in the region, and the proposed property size totals 5,284,994 square feet, and of that, 37.2% is pre-leased. And of the 20 proposed properties in the region, only 2 of those are located in Gaithersburg. This table shows some of the office projects that are in the region. As you can see, most of them are located in Germantown and North Rockville, and also many of them are located in traditional office spaces. The mixed use, an office located in a mixed use development would likely have higher rents because it would be more marketable and more convenient to restaurants and other things. These are 2 of the new town centers that were constructed in 2014 that are in close proximity to the subject site. Here is a map that shows the subject site and its relation to the 2 new. Here's a map that shows the subject site and its relation to the 2 new town centers. Watkins Mill Town Center is located to the northwest of the subject site and is roughly 1.3 miles away. The Crown Town Center is located directly south of the subject site and is roughly 3.7 miles away. For my office conclusion, I think that smaller professional offices that are mixed within the other uses on the site would be the best use, and the total amount of office construction on the site would total around 100,000 square feet. And since technology companies are one of the largest employment sectors in Gaithersburg, I think that the implementation of technology where possible would be a selling factor. Implement technology where possible would increase demand for technology industry users. The next real estate market sector that I'm going to talk about is multifamily residential. The current population in Gaithersburg is 89,326, and the expected growth between 2015 and 2020 is 5.79%. Average 3.28 people. According to Site to Do Business, the average household size in a 5-mile radius of the subject site is 3.28 people, and the largest population group is between ages 25 and 34, which makes up 16.64% of the population. Most of the multifamily residential developments around the subject site is around 40 years old, and they have also undergone major renovations. However, they are limited on their space, so it's difficult for them to add such things as pools or clubhouses, so some of their amenities are limited. Average vacancy in the subject market is around 5.7%. These tables show several of the apartment comparables in the neighboring area around the subject. As you can see, some of them, such as Delmar Apartments and Free State Apartments, don't have any amenities, but lots of the other apartments are pet-friendly, have clubhouses. The newer ones have pools. Some of the newer comparables have pools, fitness centers, clubhouses, things like that. The total number of apartment units in the surrounding areas around the subject site totals 2,890 units. The vacancy between these apartments that I've selected is 5.13%, which is slightly lower than the region as a whole, but it still gives you a good indicator. Average number of one-bedroom units, and the total number of one-bedroom apartments in the market area is 1,352. 2 bedrooms, 1,402, and 3 bedrooms is 77. There are much fewer 3-bedroom apartments compared to 1 and 2-bedroom apartments. I think if there was sufficient demand for 3-bedroom apartments, the number would be a lot lower and you wouldn't see such a difference. Asking rent per square foot is $1.57, and then average age of apartments constructed is 1976. As you can see, all of the apartments that I selected are within a close range of the subject, the furthest one being 1.6 miles away. This is a map that shows the subject site and the surrounding apartment comparables, and as you can see, they are all very close to the subject site. This table shows the average rent per square foot in the subject market for studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. Studio and efficiency apartments would be the smallest unit compared to 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. It also has the highest rent per square foot, which follows economies of scale, which states that smaller units will transfer for a higher price per square foot than larger units. So this principle holds true, as you can see, because the studio and efficiency apartments are much more expensive than the subsequent unit types. My multifamily recommendation for the mixed-use development on the subject site would be a 210-unit complex for the nearby communities, which averages 240 units. Also, I think that 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units would be the most popular. 1 bedrooms having the highest demand, and 2 bedrooms having the second highest demand. I didn't think it was necessary to add 3-bedroom units to the analysis, since they make up such a small part of the overall apartment units in the surrounding areas. The 140 1-bedroom units roughly makes up 70%, and the 70 2-bedroom units roughly 30%. I think that the apartments need to be amenity rich, including swimming pools, clubhouse, game room, and gated entry. These amenities are also consistent with the new apartment communities that are in the surrounding area. The last real estate sector that I'm going to talk about is retail. The largest income sector in the surrounding area of the subject site is $50,000 to $74,999, which includes 5,978 households. Most of the residents in the surrounding site of the subject work in retail, and that includes 7,139 employees. The second largest employment sector is professional, scientific, and technical services, which includes 6,424 employees. Table shows the aggregate spending for the neighborhood goods and services retail. Aggregate spending for the neighborhood goods and services totals $251,271,636, and then these include your household goods such as meats, produce, dairy, personal products, things of that nature. This table shows shopping centers and neighborhood goods and services available around the subject site, and I chose to do a 1-mile radius around the subject site for the area of influence. This is the subject site, and these are the 5 neighborhood goods and services that are in the surrounding area. The closest one is Trader Joe's. There is a CVS, Exxon station, various banks right here in Gaithersburg Square. Just north of that is a Sam's Club. To the west is a Wise grocery store and a Costco. Wise is the only traditional grocery store that's within a 1-mile radius of the subject site. Here are my capture rate adjustments for the different shopping opportunities. Joe's, H Mart, CVS, I think those have the highest influence because they're the closest to the subject site. Costco and Sam's have less influence because they're members only. And then Wise grocery store is a little bit farther away from the subject site, but it's the only traditional grocery store, so it has a little bit more influence than the Sam's Club and Costco. The average neighborhood goods and services capture rate is 40%. and I've adopted this for my analysis. The adjusted neighborhood goods and services capture rate is 25% and of 157,045 square feet is estimated by multiplying the aggregate spending times the adjusted capture rate and then dividing it by $400, which is the ideal sales figure for grocery stores. And that gives you the estimated demand of 157,045 square feet. This table shows the food and beverage aggregate spending, $132,193,720. And these include all of your restaurants, fast food, full service, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Basically anything that you don't buy at the grocery store and make yourself. These are some of the food and beverage retailers in the immediate area surrounding the subject site. I used a 3-mile radius around the subject site as the circle of influence because people will drive farther to go to a restaurant that they really want to go to, because sometimes you're in the mood for different things and don't want to eat the same thing every day. The food and beverage places that are closest to the subject site include Wendy's, Little Caesars, a Chinese buffet, a taco place, and a Chinese place. Right here, food and beverage capture rate is 28%. And I derived an adjusted food and beverage capture rate of 6%. And I've also figured that the estimated retail demand for food and beverage retail is 22,662 square feet. I derived that number by multiplying the aggregate spending times the adjusted capture rate divided by 350, which is the ideal sales figure for all other types of retail. The $400 per square foot was used only for grocery stores, so that's what we used for the neighborhood goods and services calculation. This shows the aggregate spending for the GAFO retail. Includes general merchandise, apparel, accessories, furniture, and other sales. GAFO retail has the highest competition, and aggregate spending totals $302,024. The sphere of influence for the GAFO retail is even larger than that of the food and beverage and the neighborhood goods and services retail, because it has furthermore competition. A lot of the retail lies along Interstate 270 and also along North Frederick Boulevard. There are several GAFO retailers in the immediate area following the subject site, or around the subject site. There are many retailers. The average capture rate for GAFO retail is 10%, which is much lower than that of the neighborhood goods and services and the food and beverage retail. The capture rate is much lower because it's harder for retailers to capture those customers because there are so many more options, be it other stores or online opportunities or online retailers. My adjusted GAFO capture rate is negative 9%, and I derived a negative retail demand of negative 88,792 square feet. I derived that number by multiplying the aggregate spending times the negative capture rate of 9% divided by the ideal sales figure. And that gave me a negative retail demand of negative 88,792 square feet. The negative demand means that there is an oversupply of GAFO retail in the subject market, and there's no sufficient demand that would warrant development in the near term. Here are some of the retail pipeline projects that are within 5 miles of the subject site. The total retail pipeline totals 316,326 square feet of retail space. Just because it's approved doesn't mean that it's going to be built in the near term. so it's difficult to anticipate when developers are going to bring it to market. My retail conclusion is 70,000 square feet of retail in the mixed-use development. I think it should be largely an anchored grocery store with several small restaurants and stores in the close vicinity. A grocery store would serve as an added amenity for new multifamily on the subject site and also serve existing residents in the nearby area. The demand estimate found using the capture rate calculation has been reduced due to the amount of retail development that has been approved in the immediate area and also the amount of retail that's already in place. Mixed use can have a great impact on the subject site. It would help the investor diversify their portfolio, and it would also help mitigate risks. It would mitigate risk because if one sector was doing really well, such as multifamily, it would help balance out a lull that could be seen in retail or office space in the subject site. So this is my conclusion for the mixed-use development of the subject site. I think it should be 100,000 square feet of office space, 210 units of multifamily, should be 70,000 square feet of retail space that's largely neighborhood goods and services, and food and beverage, including a grocery store that could serve the immediate areas, as well as the new multifamily development on the subject site. It's been fun working with everybody throughout the course of this class.